Hello and welcome to Holistic Flow. I'm Julie, an astrologer, coach, and founder of Wild Radiance Collective. And today I am joined by Ash Bruxvoort, who is a spiritual and creative coach who helps her clients create a vision for their life that is inspiring, motivating, and helps them release long outdated stories about what is possible for them and what they deserve. Thank you so much for joining me today, Ash.
Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. Thanks for having me.
I'm just I'm really excited to get to talk to you in this way because in all the times we've talked and interacted, we haven't quite like this. So it's I'm really excited to hear you just talk specifically um to our listeners or viewers and tell them everything that you're about. So why don't you start by sharing, can you tell us about your journey into coming into this work? I love this story.
Oh my goodness. When it comes to the work that I'm currently doing now, which is really centered around creative visioning, it has been, in a way, a lifelong pursuit and also something that was um, very necessary for me at a point in my life where I hit a major roadblock, a major turning point. So I'll answer first just to say that when it comes to creating a vision for your life, it's something that, as a Capricorn stellium with 5 planets in Capricorn, has just always been something that I've been drawn to. And I grew up on a farm in Iowa, and I was an only child, so I spent a lot of time by myself. And I felt, like kind of a little bit of a black sheep in my family, but at the same time, I had a mom who was very spiritual and very into astrology and things like that. So I was exposed to a lot of these ideas about how we can shape reality and how reality is an extension of consciousness from the time that I was a child. And because of that, I really had a desire to pursue what I felt was a spiritual calling to help other people to reshape reality. And so initially, I pursued that through working in agriculture myself and really wanting to reshape the food system and using what I knew from what I had learned as a child about reality creation to apply it to a collective desire to have a more sustainable, healthier food system for people on the planet. Eventually, that led me into a lot of different projects and things like that, a lot of different businesses. I've worked in nonprofits, I've worked in more corporate environments, I've worked with lots of small businesses. And eventually, I became an astrologer. And long story short, eventually, what happened was I had to start my life basically from scratch because I went through a business and life partner breakup. And it was, in a way, almost exciting for me because I had this opportunity to really use everything that I had been learning my whole life. And I had this opportunity to really put what I had faith in to the test. And that's kind of how creative visioning was born. So I hope that at least kind of hits some of the highlights.
Yeah, no, totally. So tell us more about this your process or how you like to engage with it. Can you give us some examples of ways that you do this?
Yeah, so creative visioning is a process that I developed. I say I developed, it's also very much something that a lot of other people have written about and talked about, and it's just the way that it has come to me to teach about it. So I don't feel like I'm the complete owner of creative visioning. And then at the same time, it is the framework that I really use for myself and with my clients, and that I've seen a lot of success with. And it's a 4-step process. So the process is vision, script, saturate, and observe. And um, each of the steps builds on the step that came before it, and they all cycle through. And so what kind of I feel like sets creative visioning apart is that it's not something that you just learn once and you do once and then that's it and you move on. Creative visioning is really a way of life, and it's really a way of engaging with the universe, and a way of engaging with reality creation. um so the vision step is all about creating the vision that you have for your life, which is actually the hardest step for most people. That is where people get stuck, is just even like allowing yourself to create a vision and really allowing yourself to create the vision that you actually want. Because for me, like I said, when I had the opportunity to kind of put everything that I had learned and everything that I had observed over my life to the test, I knew that I would be successful with my vision because I had done it so many times before. I had manifested many things that I wanted. I had manifested many jobs that I wanted. And so this time I really allowed myself to be as expansive as I could be with my vision. And I didn't stick to like, oh, I want to just be a coach, or I want to be a teacher, or I want to, make $100,000 as an entrepreneur or whatever. I really allowed my vision to be stretchier than those very defined roles. And something I've just observed from a lot of people who I have worked uh, with creating their vision, is that in order to allow yourself to create a vision, you have to allow yourself to experience and be present with many difficult feelings, like grief for what you haven't accomplished in the past, grief for things that you maybe once had and then you lost, but they're still a part of your vision. You have to allow yourself to feel unsatisfied with what you have, which is a very, very challenging feeling for a lot of people. And it brings up a lot of patterning that a lot of myself and a lot of my clients have around like being ungrateful, or being un like unwilling to kind of like go with the standards and the expectations that others have laid out for us. There's a lot of emotion that we have to hold space for, really, is what I talk about. There's a lot of emotion that we have to hold space for to even start the process of creating the vision. And then this really amazing, beautiful thing happens once we allow ourselves to create the vision, just by allowing ourselves to entertain the possibilities of our vision. We create space and openness where we previously felt restricted and constricted by grief or loss or anger or whatever the emotions are that we're not allowing ourselves to feel, which is preventing us from creating the vision and making us feel like we are stuck when we are not actually stuck.
That's an amazing process. And
Yeah.
you're holding space for so much, and for the whole spectrum, along the spectrum and extremes, and like that's so transformative. Because, and so I have to ask, and I think so when someone comes to you and they're working through this process, a big part of what you're doing is holding the space, going through this transformation. And then do they usually come out on the other side with a specific goal, or like something they've completed? What are, and because I know because I know you. Like, can you give us some examples of like what's the outcome for some of your clients after going through this, like this process of literally just like going through the forge? It's
Yeah.
uncomfortable and it's needed, and then something happens on the other side and you get this amazing outcome.
Yeah. So there's a couple answers that I would give to that question. One is that the thing that I see over and over again with people when I introduce creative visioning to them and I see creative visioning that process start for them in their lives is people become much more creative. The constriction that they feel around their heart that is preventing them from doing the things that they want to do, from creating the things that they desire to create. There's something about the process of creating the vision and the way that I teach people to do it that opens up the flow of creation again, which makes sense because it is creativity that is the energetic driver behind bringing a vision to life. Whether you're an artist or a writer or a filmmaker or a musician or not, it doesn't matter because that creative force is the energetic force. It is the life force that puts the vision into motion. So it makes sense to me that people who were already creative, but maybe struggling to create or feeling like they were blocked from creating, when they engage in this process, they're opening that life force back up because it's necessary for the vision process. And then it allows them to also start making art again or start writing again or whatever it is. The other thing I would say to that question is like, the outcome of the process is actually not as much about the vision manifesting as it is about the desire to live life. And when we are seeing our vision coming together on the timeline that it wants to without forcing it or demanding it to happen in the way that we think it needs to happen, we are tapping into this more magical and like it's a I guess what I would say is it's a very magical and satisfying process. So like an example of this is early on when I started doing this process for myself, before I even started teaching it, before creative visioning was even an idea in my mind, I was just doing it for myself. And like I said, I was coming out of this business and life partner breakup. I lost like everything. And I was living with my parents at the time. And I was just like, okay, this is not where the story ends. I'm going to create my vision for my life now. And I am going to watch it come together. And it's not going to happen overnight. And it hasn't come together overnight. And it has still progressively come together in very beautiful ways. But one of the things that I did was when I created my vision, I put this purse on my vision board. And I've always wanted like a really cool Western tooled leather bag. I don't know why. I think it's just like from growing up on a farm and stuff like that. I'm really attracted to like this Western glam vibe. And I had a couple different purses that I had put on my vision board that I really wanted. And I, the next day, went to Target and I was standing in line, and the girl in front of me had a tooled leather bag that looked almost exactly like the bag that I had put on my vision board. Okay. So that was one of the early moments for me of like, this process is going to work because I'm putting these images that represent my vision coming to life on a board and I know what they are. And as I go out into the world, reality is going to start reflecting back to me that my vision is coming closer to me. So there's many things that I have on my vision board that I have seen out in the world, I see out in my reality that help me know which direction to go. They help guide me and they help assure me that my vision is coming to life. So I don't have to feel so constricted around that because I'm constantly, every day, getting proof that my vision is coming to life. So it was never really about getting the purse. I got the purse. I went on Poshmark and I found the purse that I wanted. It was like $30. It was not a big it wasn't like not a big deal, right? Like the purse was within access to me. But it was more about me saying, I'm willing to engage with this process. Here's the language I want to use to communicate about how to bring it to life, and then getting that feedback from the universe and continuing to be in that relationship with the vision through what I'm observing in my external reality. I feel like I maybe didn't completely answer the question, but
Whether you did or not, I am so with you and like following this moment like completely. And my favorite thing is that you're talking like in this process that you've created with your clients, the like sometimes the hardest part is being patient and allowing. And for you, you're completely clearly explaining that that's where the magic has happened. Is that the magic has happened and just being like, okay, and then you're having these external reinforcements and affirmations that it's happening, and that it's so we so badly want to grip things so tight. This is very much a lesson I'm working through again in my own life. Like I feel like, so, I don't know if the lesson will ever stop, but it's always a reminder. And like, you're just like, no, this is how I want it to be, and it's going to be this way. Or like, if I have this vision for something and I'm like we mentioned, forcing the timeline, we can't do those things. And nor is it necessarily like healthy. It's not, it puts this undue amount of pressure on ourselves, and it takes away the complete magical and mystical possibilities. Oh, and then let's talk about like the something better, because when you do just, you're like open arms, like I'm working towards this is what's going, and then the something better drops in your lap, you're like, holy shit, uh that's cool. But had we been like gripping onto that other thing, this really amazing thing never would have happened. So I was completely I was with you in the store looking at the purse. Like I'm like I'm like right there with you. So I am so excited about this. So I know for your workshop that, so for everybody listening or watching, the workshop with Ash about creative visioning is on Wednesday, March 26th at 2 p.m. Eastern. That's live on Zoom. You can also get the replay. And can you, Ash, like, can you tell me, is what you've described today what we're going to get like a deeper hands-on experience with in this workshop?
Yes, that's exactly what we're going to be working on. We're going to be starting with laying out the vision board, and then I'll explain how the rest of the process works. But just the way in which you lay out the vision board, there's so much to it. So yes, this is exactly what we're going to be working on in that workshop.
Oh, amazing. I am so excited for this. And I like, I'm excited, I'm inspired, but I need it. I'm also like at that point, and you'll appreciate this very serendipitously. Every single person that I've invited to collaborate with and have an event at Wild Radiance this year is coming into my life with the medicine I need at the exact moment I need it every time. And I keep having this conversation with people. And I'm like, this is wild. And so reassuring, and so it just kind of echoes back to exactly what you're talking about. Thank you. So everybody, I want you to know that I'm going to put everything in the show notes on how to connect with Ash. So Ash is on Instagram and Facebook. I love following Ash on Instagram. You can follow them at Ash Marie CCS. I'll put that in the show notes below. You can also check out her website, and definitely come and check out this workshop. This is going to be great. It's perfectly timed for the start of the astrological new year. We'll just get everything oriented and ready for that forward trajectory with Aries season.
Yeah, exactly. And I'm right now, at the time that we're recording this, and in February, I am sort of leaning back and just kind of like letting creative visioning evolve behind the scenes. And then I'm preparing to do like a much deeper container into creative visioning and the actual spiritual connection and the spiritual relationships and the spiritual process that complements creative visioning starting around the equinox in March. Um,
Awesome.
so that's like the big thing that I'm working on right now. But I did also just want to say that for me, creative visioning came out of a very collaborative sort of process. So it initially was this very collaborative process just with like myself and the universe. And then I got a download or I got a ping to start teaching about vision boarding. And I had so many people come to my first vision boarding workshop, and it was such an amazing experience. And then I decided I wanted to keep going with it. And initially, I didn't really get that much interest like the next time that I put it out there because it was at like the beginning of summer. And I think people just weren't really in that like headspace of creating a vision. But I didn't let that stop me. And I just kept putting out that I was doing these calls where I wanted to talk about vision boarding and I wasn't exactly sure what I was going to talk about. I just like invited people to come talk to me about vision boarding. And I did those calls every month, many times a week for a few months. And it was actually through talking to people about vision boarding that this process was really revealed to me because I was doing it automatically. And then I had to explain what I was doing to other people. And every time I have taught creative visioning and I've had new people come into creative visioning, I learn so much from teaching other people and from talking to them about their process. And I think this is just a great example of how we have been really taught that if you want to bring something to life, it's all about like the steps. And you got to do this, and then you got to do this, and then you got to do this. And it needs to happen on this very linear timeline, and it needs to happen in this very professional kind of manner, and all of that kind of stuff. And you need to know before you even get started. And I have just been shown over and over and over again that it's not the case, that it's enough to have a seed and then to invite other people into nourishing and growing that seed. And that the more we continue to nourish and grow that seed, the deeper the root system becomes, the more secure and stable the process becomes. Um, and so, as a facilitator of creative visioning, that's really more how I see myself as a facilitator of the creative visioning process. And I understand how the process works and I bring other people into that process. But the way that everyone executes the process and the way that everybody executes the steps becomes very personal. And every client that I have worked with has taken the process and adapted it to how they think best, the way that they already naturally create. And so the creative visioning process is not something, like I said, that you learn the 4 steps and you do them for 30 days and then you're done. That's not how it works. You learn how to implement the steps become a part of your life. They become a part of the way that you engage with the world around you, and they become unique to you. The process becomes innately yours. So it's not about me teaching you this is the way that you do it and that's it, end of story, period. It's me showing you this is a process that is a natural process, and how it's going to naturally unfold for you is something that you're going to get to discover. All I can do is give you the seed, and then what you're going to do to nourish that seed is in your hands. um, so yeah, I just wanted to share that.
Yeah, I think that's really important. It is so personalized and so personal, and that no two people are going to approach it the same way or get the same results, nor probably do they want the same results or experience. So that is, I love that. And I personally have been experiencing that a lot. The more I share in my ideas or visions for what I want in my creations and in my work, even if one thing I talk about doesn't come to fruition, the other thing might start to become amplified. So then I know, like, okay, so that's going to fall away, but this other thing is happening, and then I go forward with that. And I think that was so valuable to mention. That's
Definitely.
great. And that's that. And I'm feeling incredibly uplifted and inspired by this episode. And for everybody else listening, I hope you are as well. This was such a mystical journey of explanation. I felt peaceful and like in flow just hearing you describe your story. And I'm so excited to implement these processes in my own life and for all of our community members to get that experience as well.
Amazing. I'm so excited. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Thanks for coming. And I'll see you soon. And I'm wishing you the best as the next few weeks continue to unfold.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, like, and having a vision is more important than I think it's ever been. I think that collective visions and individual visions are so intertwined with each other, and that's a part of how I teach about creative visioning. And it's a part of how I approached my vision is how is my vision connected to my collective vision, and what is the ripple effect that I want to create. And I think that that's something that keeps a lot of people who do work with me or would be drawn to my work from creating a vision or making vision boards, is that it feels very materialistic or it feels very self-centered. And it can be. There are approaches to visioning. There are approaches to vision boarding that can be really centered around that. And also, that is a part of what we want to really deepen our understanding of, is how can we create a vision that's really viewed in our values, our core values, and really shaped around what we feel is important, not only for ourselves, but for the collective.
You're speaking my language. Love it. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Our community is totally on board for all of that. I love the way that you describe it and share it as well as it relates to your work. And thank you so much, Ash.
Yeah, amazing. Thanks for having me.
I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye.